Hi, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of the First Time Homebuyers podcast. I am one of your two co-hosts. My name is Tom Sommers with Coldwell Banker Burnett in Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and my wonderful co-host Eric McKenna, who is with Remax Advantage, or is it Advanced?
Advanced.
Advanced, and he
Yeah.
services the Pittsburgh area and surrounding. All
Sure
right,
do.
so how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, my friend. Good to see you.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thanks to everyone for sticking with us as we work out some of our podcast issues. But I think our audio is getting better, our video is getting better. We're just taking it one step at a time to try to slay the dragon here.
That's right.
Yeah. So in continuing with our series on buying a home and the steps of purchasing a home, today we're going to focus on inspections and what they entail and how to pick an inspector and that kind of thing. So, Eric, do you want to take us start us out with this? Where do you want to go?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I did a short video myself here that I do in Pittsburgh, very 60-second stuff, and I kind of mentioned this week. You know, I get asked a lot, am I required to have a home inspection? And depending on the type of loan you have, generally speaking, in Pennsylvania anyways, you're not required to have a general home inspection, okay? But considering what you're buying, the investment it is, maybe the biggest purchase you ever have, why would you not, or like I like to say is, why would you be foolishly frugal and not be willing to spend $300, $400, or $500 to protect and inspect and understand the amount of investment you're getting ready to make and the quality of it? I mean, to me, it's imperative. I tell my clients point blank, I said, you may not be required by law. You may have a great uncle who knows a contractor that will do this or that for free or for cheap. You want a certified professional inspector, and I ask my clients to lean on me for a group of great ones that I know that do great work for my buyers. And I just, you're never going to find a realtor, at least in Pittsburgh, that believes more in home inspections than I do.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's the cheapest insurance policy you can purchase because I've had situations, and this is no joke, where it has passed the city inspection, which is the time of sale, truth in housing, depending on your city and state,
Mhm.
and my inspector comes through and finds $30,000 worth of problems for my buyer.
Absolutely
You
right.
know, and one thing just in general here, if you look at, say, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, those houses were built anywhere from the early 1900s on.
Mhm.
And when you're looking at 1920s, 30s construction, just the sewer line alone that's probably still clay, you're going to want
Mhm.
to have that cleaned out and have it scoped to make sure that it's in proper working order. You're looking at a $10,000 bill if that thing collapses. So
Absolutely.
what's $400 in the scheme of things if you find out roof leak or foundation? And the other thing too, people have to understand that especially if it's a first-time home buyer, you don't know where the shutoff valves is for your
Right.
gas and
Right.
and all those other things. So that inspector is not only going to walk you through potential issues, he's also going to show you this is how your home functions.
Absolutely. If I could add to that, what I like to say, Tommy, often when I explain the home inspection function to a new buyer, is I do it in steps. I said, listen, the biggest purchase of your life, don't be foolishly frugal for a couple $100. Protect yourself. It is an insurance policy. But the bigger issue that I have is this particular inspector is going to come be your advocate. They're going to look at all
Yep.
the safety things. They're going to it's foundation, it's structural, it's electric, your plumbing, your air conditioning. I mean, it's your windows, your roof. It's everything that, we're generally not qualified. The average person on the street could not do all those things. You need a special certified inspector, someone you trust. And the other aspect that I like to remind my buyers is that report that you get, while it's important in our negotiation as we move forward to closing, it's a user's manual for your home, and you
Yeah.
can refer to it year in, year out. And I know I have with the one that I have. I mean, I didn't know every aspect of my home and shut off valves, all the important mechanicals and so forth. It really is a user's manual for the home you're getting ready to purchase. It's
Yeah.
so important to understand what you're buying.
Well,
You
yeah, and don't hire Uncle Bob. You know, I'm sure he's a great guy and makes a really good martini, but
Right,
don't
right,
hire him to do the
right,
inspection because if he's not looking at these homes every single day and if he doesn't have a checklist of what to look for, he can easily miss something. Now, they have to, meaning the sellers by law have to disclose anything that may be a potential problem with the house, but
right,
they too could have a problem and really truly not be aware of it. It's the only
right.
way to truly protect yourself. So one of the things that Eric kept saying was certified inspector. I want to make the point that they, at least at this point, to my best of my knowledge, do not have to be licensed.
Right.
So you want a certified inspector, and certified means a bunch of different things, but we're talking about ASHI and some of these other
Yes.
organizations that will
Yes.
put these inspectors through a whole litany of classes and testing, and they help to make them even more professional. So if you have someone who doesn't even care in continuing education for themselves, then maybe they're not the right person to hire.
Oh, no question about it. And that's I have a group of them in Pittsburgh here that I like to that I absolutely trust. And sometimes I meet new inspectors that come from buyers on my listings.
Yeah.
I do have a go-to guy. I consider him part of my quote-unquote team, a loose team here. But I tell my clients, especially my first-time home buyers, they ask me point blank, well, there's 6 inspectors. Who do we pick? I said they're all wonderful. Now, if you're asking me if I was sitting in your shoes, I probably would lean on this one or this one based upon the house they're getting ready to buy.
Yep.
It's so important to listen to your realtor and let us, as your realtors, be your advocate and get you the right referrals. And I think next week we're going to talk about title and closing.
Yes.
But one of the referrals that we give besides that is a big one, and that's the home inspector. Lean on your realtor. I love the inspectors I work with, and I primarily end up working with one here in Pittsburgh because he's so phenomenal.
Right.
And, it's the biggest investment, like Tommy says, week in and week out. I couldn't echo it better. It may be the biggest investment you ever make, or maybe your next one will be the biggest, but it'll be one of the biggest purchases you ever have in your life. Why would you not spend just a few $100s to make sure, number one, it's safe, number two, it's a good buy, and number three, understand what you're buying. So,
right. Well, yeah, and to Eric's point, the other thing with these appraisers inspectors is that we've worked with these guys and they're all good if they're on our list. I have a list of 4, but they're
Right.
all extremely different. So if
Yes.
you are a buyer who is very, very anal, you want a certain type of inspector because that person's going to appeal to your nature and you'll
Right.
understand what they're saying to you because they speak in your language. If you're someone who's
Right.
super laid back and you're only concerned about the big things and you don't need, yeah, exactly.
I'm guilty.
Then then it's a different person. So that's why. And some of the
Right.
questions that you can ask them, because you're interviewing them, just like you're interviewing an agent or
Sure.
a mortgage person, is
Sure.
ask them how long they've been doing it. Ask them what their history is. You can
Mhm.
ask them how many they do a year, what they charge, and then
Right.
ask them what they think about the whole radon thing. You know,
Absolutely.
and just see what they say. And the comfort level that they give you is the one you should choose where you feel most comfortable.
I agree, and in Pittsburgh here too, and I don't know, the laws could be different in every state. Our MLS laws require they're very strict as to who can be in the property without an agent representation and everything else. Here in Western Pennsylvania, the inspectors are eligible to open a lockbox and go in there.
Yep.
The good inspectors that I have worked with and the primary go-to guys I have, they strongly request that you attend the inspection, that you are there with them. So when they go
Yeah.
through the house and they point out different things, you're there. It's important as a buyer, as a home buyer, to be there with the inspector if at all possible. It isn't the end of the world if you can't. That we'll go through, as your agent, go through the inspection report with you. But ultimately, the buyer should be participatory with the inspector as they go through. A good inspector will point out things that aren't really deficiencies at all, but things that you may want to look at, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and you can take notes, and it'll probably be in his report or her report. But it's good to attend.
Yes. Well, yeah, and they all do it differently. So you can come and watch the whole thing. Some people don't want to show up to the whole thing. They'll give
Right.
the inspector 2 hours to go through his report, and then
Yep.
you show up on the 3rd hour and they walk you through. So you have all these
Absolutely.
options, but you don't have to be there if you don't want to either.
Right.
So the options there, the big thing is you've got someone who has the eye looking out for your best interest, and you
An
want to
advocate.
hire someone who is your advocate, not the city, because more often
Right.
than not, the city is those guys. Some of them are great, but some of them are just like, are you kidding me? Really? You missed this? So
Right.
it's important.
It is.
So next week we're going to be talking about title and picking a title company. So if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Again, my name is Tom Sommers. I'm with Coldwell Banker in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Eric McKenna, my co-host, is with Remax Advanced, and that is in Pittsburgh. So he does the whole surrounding areas. We want to hear from you guys. We've been getting some feedback. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the questions. Once we get done with this series of how to physically purchase a home, then we'll start talking about different amendments and different things as we go, and maybe a little bit more of current items. But we wanted to get started and just give you the meat and potatoes to start with. So anything else you want to throw in before we go?
Just wanted to remind everyone that if you're, obviously this is a podcast and it's national, it's international for that matter. But if you are still undecided in the area that you're in, you just don't know a realtor, you have not gotten a good referral, Tommy and I also can refer and find a good realtor in your area, someone that we would work with.
Yes.
And we would give our highest recommendation to. So we can provide that service for you. Either contact Tommy or myself. Be glad to refer and find you a high quality realtor, someone who takes their practice as seriously as Tommy and I do.
And that's free of charge to you.
Absolutely.
Plus, one last thing I think it's worth plugging is that if you happen to be in the Pittsburgh area, Eric does a radio show.
Yes, I do.
So what's the channel that it's on?
Yeah, it's called Beaver County Radio.
Okay.
It's 1230 and 1460 a.m. And it's every Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to noon. And it's called Your Personal Realtor with Eric McKenna. It's a lot of fun.
There you go. So check it out. We need the support. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
We will see you next week. Eric, thank you. And we'll
Great.
talk to you soon.
Thank you. See you, everybody.